And welcome to this episode of Alamo City Geek Speak, home for the geeks, where we talk about pulp culture, Star Wars, movies, music, and other random garbage, along with tons and tons of cursing. And here's your host, Justin Chaos.
Yeah, so we're recording right now. That's what we're doing right now.
All right.
Excuse me?
I said, all right.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Sounds. Oh, fucking hell.
You messed it up already. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fine. For anyone who listens to our older episodes of Alamo City Geek Speak, we have an old saying, we'll fix it in post. That's exactly what we're going to do here. Jesus was frozen actually for a second on my screen now, and I'm pretty sure that I caught that. You were kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of, I don't know why this is the movie that comes to mind, but Fievel. I don't know why, because you're kind of like I don't, you look so full of hope right now when time is against us and we're all hopeless. Anyway, welcome to Alamo City Geek Speak. My name is Justin. As always, I am joined by the boy wonder, Raul. He is not a hero in his own right, but he is here to assist other heroes. And other heroes like Jesus. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm not doing too bad considering the fact that I work here at home and podcast with Raul. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's good.
That list can just fuck off all of you.
Yeah. Hey, don't talk to me like that. I have a family, okay?
Oh, you're
fucking this guy. Hey, so do you listeners at home like movies? If you do, that's great. If you don't, it sucks. Turn this episode off. But if you like movies, we are going to be talking about movies today. But the first thing we are going to talk about, which is a pretty big topic to the three of us, considering the fact that we play a lot of Call of Duty, would be Call of Duty 2020. Now, originally, everyone was talking about how it was going to be the next Black Ops. But then they came out and kind of said, well, it's not really going to be a Black Ops game, but it's going to be set apparently in the Cold War era, right?
Yeah, they're looking at Cold War like Vietnam.
So
almost like Black Ops 1, except it's not going to be in the Black Ops series. Apparently, they already said it's not.
Well, I honestly, like, I know everyone wants to figure out what the numbers mean, Mason. What are the numbers? And the whole CG Frank Woods in Black Ops 4, I was like, the fuck does it mean? It's like, you were always here. This is where you were always been. I was like, okay, so for somebody, and I will admit, I'm not the biggest Call of Duty fan in the entire world, but I have been latched on to Modern Warfare because it is just so much fun. I didn't play the other Black Ops games, so I didn't know exactly the whole story. So I did Google it, and I got the pieces put together. You'd be surprised. There are like 15 articles that go over like all the specifics of Black Ops, and there's like a billion fucking articles that talk about fucking zombies. I don't know what they did. They fucked up and made the story less involved than zombies. I don't get it.
Well, okay, look, coming from a zombies player, I'm just going to say, and Jesus knows this for a fact, I have been heavily invested in the zombie story since I was in, since I got World at War, yeah, because that's where it started.
Still shitting your britches as a little kid.
Yeah. But no, Zombies was super fun, and I think not a lot of people know that Zombies has a story. Like, I'll be honest, I think because a lot of people I've talked to, they always say that Zombies is just, you play until you die, basically. But there's actually like an Easter egg and a step, and no one seems to understand that, and I kind of feel like the outcast when I bring it up.
Easter egg and a step?
And steps. I meant to say steps. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And a step. I was like, wait a second. Like, you do this whole choreographed dance, like on a certain map. No. Like, the map opens up. It's like,
it might as well be. It's so ridiculous. Many steps.
Some of the steps don't even make any sense either. And you have to like mine the PC files to figure out what the step is. So,
it's very, very involved in that respect. But like, I didn't know.
Go ahead.
No, there's like what?
Oh, there's like outro and intro, like cinematics and everything for like each zombie map too. Like if you do
I
the
could
Easter egg
also just Google that shit. Anyway, I'll just YouTube it. It's fine. Let someone else do the hard work for me because I honestly don't give a shit about zombies. I'm sorry, I just don't.
All right.
Which you know, playing Black Ops 4 was only multiplayer and only zombies. which I feel like multiplayer on Black Ops 4, the zombies part of it didn't hit the same way that all the other zombies did. I feel like there was way less buzz about it because like when zombies first dropped, I think it was in World at War. Was the very first one, right? Because Black Ops came after World at War.
Yes, World at War. In World at War, zombies was just a bonus feature at the very end of the campaign. You unlocked it, and no one expected it to get as big as it did, and because they basically reused all the elements from the campaign and all the spare time they had and all the resources. They're like, hey, let's make a map not Durham Toten. And then it got super big, and then they were like, well, we have to do more with it, and then ended up coming out with DLC
specifically for zombies.
Yeah, and then it just branched out into a whole story, and
then Ghost came by, tried to ride the fucking coattails, and ended up fucking it up with the whole aliens thing. But
you remember the alien? Oh, hey, Sus, did we ever play the aliens?
I think we played it once, and I was so bored of it.
Yeah, that was gross.
If I wanted to play this, I'd go back and, I mean, you can't really go back. I'd go play Earthfall. Thanks, Sam. Anyway, which is basically it's basically Ghosts, but with shittier aliens and probably worse animations. I'm not sure. I haven't even opened this. Honestly, I don't know if anyone actually even plays this. Put it down there. I don't know if anyone's actually ever played this. If you guys have played this, put it in the comments. Put it in the YouTube comments or find us on Facebook and tell us what you think. I kind of want to open it, but I also kind of feel like maybe I'm going to lose its value if I open it. But what is the value of nothing? It's a timeless artifact. So Black Ops 4 came out with zombies, and I remember playing Zombies 9, I think it was called. Zombies IX or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool because you got the swords and the fucking different things.
And that was a new crew too, so it was different than the old crew. They have two separate stories now. They have a Chaos story and they have an Ether story, which is the original crew. If you played like Black Ops Zombies and stuff. Yeah, I know. I sound really nerdy talking to. I mean, this is Alamo City Geek Speak, okay? So this is a safe place. I should not be judged.
You most definitely be judged.
This is a safe place.
Based on what we just said, we're going to talk about on this episode. I'm pretty sure there's be a couple times you're going to be judged. It's fine. No, so like I don't know. I'm hoping that it's going to be fun. I'm really hoping that they. I kind of wanted to do something beyond just the whole like Russia's the bad guy, you know? Because how many times has that been done? Like 1,000 times. I'm pretty sure even the bad guys in the Black Ops series, they've all been some form of Russian somehow. They've legitimized the communists or some shit. I know that in Black Ops 3, never finished the story because I couldn't get past like the very beginning. Not that I couldn't beat it. I just could not fathom playing further into Black Ops 3.
Well, that's when they introduced like wall running and all that. Remember? I hated wall running.
Is that the one? Is that the one where it has the character, like the main character you play as, but it doesn't have a name? It's just his player whenever it's in the subtitles.
Yep.
Is that the one?
So, yeah.
Where you can play co-op with like 5 people, I think.
Yeah, and then
I think so.
No,
Yeah.
So bad.
Just open your arm up, let those nanobugs out. It's like, dude, this is fucking cheating, dude. Like, you get the fight.
And then speaking of that, like how they got all futuristic, then they went to I know we totally got off topic here, it seems like, but in Infinite Warfare, they went to like Mars and the moon and shit.
So
yeah, that was
the only really fun part about that is when fucking
space.
When fucking Space Jon Snow has fucking space fucking McGregor beat the shit out of you and break your goddamn visor. But and the worst part is fucking Conor McGregor, his character, there's not even a grand death for him. Does he get like sucked out of fucking like airlock or some shit? Like he's
I don't even remember because
that
game was bad.
Okay, so
I played the multiplayer and I kind of hated it though.
I would say this: the story mode was something I was excited about because I like the idea of like the seamless feeling of getting into that spaceship and then blasting off. There's no load screens. I thought for technology wise that was a big push. Games like that really started pushing the idea of like live loading screens. So while your character's pressing buttons and that countdown's going down, you don't feel like you're in a loading screen, but the game is most definitely using that whole thing as saying like, cool, you don't see that little invisible bar at the bottom right corner saying loading. There's not some long diatribe of fucking Captain Price talking about like the war used to be different, shit like that. It's all about like now it's all pressing buttons and turning levers, fucking on the phone with a full-grown man.
All I want in Call of Duty 2020, all I want is boots to the ground, Cold War, and I would like some zombies. Zombies are going to come back because fans love it. Even though this story technically ended in this past Zombies, it's going to come back. I know it is.
very unpopular opinion here, but I would love to see the game from the perspective of the Russians, and not necessarily in the fact. Well, listen, not necessarily from the fact that like, which have a different front. So here's the thing: I don't want to see them. I'm not trying to humanize any kind of communist. But what I am trying to say is, let's fucking break the fucking record here, because all we do, Modern Warfare, Russia was involved somehow. Fucking Modern Warfare 2, Russians were definitely involved that time because they invaded the United States. Modern Warfare 3, guess what? You know, so everything was always revolving around Russians, and if not specifically Russians, they never actually, except for the second one where Russia literally invaded the United States. They kept going off of like fucking, they call them ultra nationalists from like some, it almost sounds made up, but you know, you change things up a bit. Let me be a Russian. You already let me be an American pretending to be a Russian, shooting up a Russian airport.
A dude disguised as a dude.
I'm a dude disguised as a dude shooting up other dudes, right? Like, you know, let's do something very similar to that and really kind of stretch the bounds, because the idea of constantly having the Russians as the bad guy is the exact reason why, you know, never mind. Let's just stop that, because I promise you this is going down a really dark path, and this isn't a political podcast. Anyway, so Call of Duty 2020.
They could just redo that whole. They could just redo that whole. What is it? Red Dawn sequence from Modern Warfare 2 would just flip the sides.
I can tell you this right now. That would be the worst selling Call of Duty in the South ever.
What is this shit?
I didn't pay to get no Ruskies shooting them boys. Anyway, we're from Texas, so I can talk like that. If you don't think so, eat my ass. So Call of Duty 2020, what do we want? Something different. So the next topic that we had talked about, this is something that me and Raul discuss all the time, and Jesus, you have no idea.
I think all three of us. I think all three of us are part of that shit posting group on Facebook.
We are. We likely are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's the big thing.
Cornetto Trilogy shit posting.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Raul speaks very highly of you when it comes down to your movie knowledge. So if Raul thinks you're a cool guy, I think you're a cool guy, depending on what order your Cornetto Trilogy is in. There's always a caveat to something. Now, I also want everyone here to know that no matter what Raul says, it is wrong, because me and him have had this debate before, and he will never change his mind. Hey, serious, I feel like you're not going to have the same answer. So we can get the shitty rabbit out of the hat. Raul, tell us, what is your Cornetto Trilogy order? And real quick, before we go there, in case people have never heard this term before, Cornetto Trilogy, this is referring to the movies with Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, directed by what's his face?
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright. This is going to be the movies Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and World's End.
All three of which are great movies. There's not a bad movie.
They're all connected in one specific way. Not only, I mean, there's little jabs here and there at each other's movie in a respect, but the Cornetto is really like, I feel like is that's why it's called the Cornetto Trilogy, because literally every single movie there's a reference to a Cornetto, which is great.
You know what's funny is in the last one, in The World's End, there was no Cornetto reference at all until the very end of the fucking movie, and it's when the green wrapper fucking flashes on the fence, like at the very end. And when I first saw the movie, I
was waiting for it too.
I didn't hear the reference the whole movie, and I was like, well, "What the fuck?" And then that it flashes at the end, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool, I guess."
Well, they gave you what you wanted. Disappointment.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't make sense. I feel it's weird that it's green. Like when why didn't they make the aliens' blood or robots' blood green instead of blue?
I would tell you. Anyway,
you know what I mean?
Tell us your favorite movies, and we'll explain why.
I'm just saying.
Real quick.
Okay,
we'll dissect that part.
In terms of movie quality, production, and all that, and comedy, and memorable scenes and all that, for me, and this is not saying Shaun of the Dead is bad by any means, but it was one of their first attempts at movies.
So it was like everybody at home.
It was that's my number 3. It's my bottom. And it's not that it's a bad movie. I love Shaun of the Dead. I'll always love Shaun of the Dead. But like in terms of movie quality and things like that, Number 2 is Hot Fuzz, and number 3 is The World's End. I don't know what it is about The World's End, but it's just I don't know. I don't know what I can say. It's not more relatable because I don't go out going on pub crawls and shit. It's not that it's more relatable. It's just that some of the jokes were funnier to me in that movie than they were.
I gotta tell you.
So
much like your future wife, I am very disappointed. Yeah.
So what's your order? It's Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End?
Yeah, World's End is number 1.
Oh, World's End is number 1.
Yeah, World's End is number 1.
That's what's funny is that is the second World's End that will never be number 1 because even fucking Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End will not be number 1. Shut the fuck up, right? We're sticking to this, and we'll talk about that in another episode. So, Jesus, what's your Cornetto Trilogy order?
So for me personally, I told Raul I really like Hot Fuzz a lot. Hot Fuzz is definitely my number 1. My second, honestly, I'm very back and forth between both of them. But I recently rewatched Shaun of the Dead, and I think that would probably take me second. And for my third would probably be World's
End.
So World's End is good, but it feels, especially towards the end, the ending itself I felt was pretty weak. But the movie itself is really good.
What's really great is me and you shared the exact same order for pretty much the same reasons. Shaun of the Dead, I hold in high reverence because it was the first one to come out. It was a funny play on the whole zombie apocalypse thing. They've made funny zombie movies before, but this is one that actually I think encapsulated a lot of the humor that was going on about it. It kind of took itself as a zombie movie and took a step back and say, all right, cool, we're a zombie movie. How do we make fun of ourselves? Right. And so they took a lot of the zombie tropes and a lot of things like that and mashed them together and made on it almost like it seemed like they had a budget and they said, hey, man, if we fuck this up and can't make other movies, at least we made a movie. And they were all on board for that. And they did it. And it became such a unique movie in that regard. But Hot Fuzz to me will always be number 1 just because of the fact that it took the quintessential buddy cop movie. And that's the other thing, too, is all these movies all these movies have that archetype. One second, I'll let you talk. All these movies had that one archetype they followed. Hot Fuzz was very much the buddy cop. And again, they took the same premise of let's make fun of ourselves by having these two guys in this buddy cop movie sit down and watch all these buddy cop movies and then later on start emulating all these things in such a natural feeling. To me, I was like, all right, so this is the top of filmmaking. Not really, but I mean, this is literally the highest rung you can get, in my opinion, out of these 3 movies because it just felt so organic. It felt fun. The relationship they built making the first movie, you can see that relationship shine through Hot Fuzz. And I thought that, like, also the cast, no one else would have thought they would have gotten fucking Timothy Dalton to play the manager. What's it, Mr. Skinner? Yeah. No one thought Simon Skinner would be played by Timothy Dalton. When he got on stage and he had that big fucking smile and he said he was like lock me up, I'm a killer, I'm a slasher. Yeah. I was like, dude, this is fucking Timothy Dalton. Like they got 007 running next to him calling himself a killer.
They got another 007 too in The World's End also.
Yeah. Well, they had Pierce Brosnan. I feel like I wonder if that was done on purpose. Because if that was done on purpose, then I feel like there was a missed opportunity. Obviously, with Shaun of the Dead, hindsight's 20/20. But like, unless of course there's someone like I don't know, maybe someone there in that movie played a 007 even in a TV show once. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe his fucking Phil. Maybe Phil was 007 on a TV show. And by the way, this is also how you know Shaun of the Dead will always, or even Hot Fuzz, will be held in major reverence above World's End because I don't see people walking around quoting World's End.
I quote World's End a lot, but no one did so.
You know why? Because fucking Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are better.
No, you know what? I feel like it's because people just love to hate on the World's End just to hate on it. I really
hate it because it's not as good.
Why is it not as good though? What about it is not as good as the other movies?
I've already explained this to you before. It's the pacing of the movie is slow as fuck. right? No, and don't be like, no, it's not. It is. It takes forever. It takes forever to get invested in the characters. It's not until like midway through the second act where you start to really get to know the characters he grew up with, because he talks about them as they're kids, and yeah, they're all crazy, but you want to know them now because they're all in this thing now, right? So as
you literally meet them, when he's going to each one, you literally see how they've all grown up.
You see how they've all grown up, but you don't see how they are now. Yeah. So like for example, Simon Pegg, he's pretty much the exact same king, right?
Yeah.
He's the exact same kid he was before.
King J.
Yeah. And then when you get over to fucking Nick Frost, I mean, yeah, he's more toned down.
Flipped.
He's an adult now.
And
But like as you and that's what I'm saying, but how long does it fucking take for you to figure out why?
You know what? I think the movie is more serious than the other two.
And that's also a problem too.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That was the other thing I was going to make, though. That's the other point I was going to make, is you don't really know what archetype they're going for on this one. I feel like in this movie, there wasn't maybe just an alien invasion movie then, like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but that's the tough part, because how many times has Invasion of the Body Snatchers happened? Twice, right? It's not a trope that's carried on multiple times. Zombies, you can fucking throw a goddamn soggy sock. Just kidding, don't do that. That's gross. You can throw a fucking quarter and hit a zombie movie. You can do the same thing with buddy cop movies, like fucking Lethal Weapon, Bad Boys. You name it, it's been made. But when you go back and look at World's End, excuse me, not at World's End, but World's End, it doesn't. There's not a whole lot of movies that make me think, holy shit, maybe Girl Interrupted. If they're talking about the fucking the mental health issues. But I mean, like, other than that, there's not a whole lot that goes off of that. Even robot movies, like Terminator, not even close to being Terminator, right? So it was hard for me to sit down and look at this movie and say, this makes 100% complete sense to me, because I can see the what they used as reference, as a frame of reference for it, but they didn't even give you that. Not until the end where they start showing everything's robots. And I do not think that was the highest utilization of those characters. Of those actors. I thought the movie was slow, and it finally got to like I said, about midway through the second act, where things started getting fun and exciting. But even at that point, I was just more worried about the fact that King, obviously, before you even got to that reveal point, you know the dude has some issues. Right, so it's like, he kind of came off as whiny, and then once you get he came off as super whiny, and once you get the reasons why he's trying to get everyone back together and do all this stuff, it's like, man, like, now I feel like a shitty person for calling you a fucking fucker the entire time.
You know what I think was interesting for me though with that movie was that the roles between Nick Frost and Simon Pegg almost kind of flipped.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I liked that movie a bit, was because I was like, you're so used to. I mean, you've only had 2 movies before that, I guess, to see him like that. But when did Paul come out? Did Paul come out before The World's End or after?
That one came out
before,
because that was their that was their first movie they made in the United States, wasn't it?
I think so.
I feel like it was the first. Well, at least the first high budget movie they made in the United States.
I guess so. You were so used to seeing Nick Frost play like that comedic relief, and then to see him be the serious one in this one, and then Simon Pegg was kind of like not a bad guy, but he was just an asshole, and just, I don't know, that was interesting to me. I liked what they did there.
If we're playing off the whole again, using that word, but that's what you use when you talk about stuff like this, the whole trope of, oh man, I got a bug in my fucking drink. If you play the whole trope of the lovable buffoon, then yeah, sure, they flipped the role there, because Nick Frost, you're right, was always like the dopey, like, either I don't give a shit, I'm gonna let my phone ring in front of zombies, or I'm gonna try to jump over a fence and run through it, not over it.
Jumped in the air, firing your guns, and go, ah.
No, I've never jumped in the air, firing my guns, going, ah. Yeah. So I think that the important thing is if you watch this movie, if you haven't seen this movie at all, I believe for sure on Stars or on Hulu, not Hulu, scary, Prime, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are available. And I want to say it's actually, might even be Showtime. I don't know, fucking go to your TV and look it up. Fucking use your phone. I don't care.
All three movies are good. Okay, I'm not gonna say, and not any of them are bad. None of them are bad movies. You cannot say that.
They're not. I would not say they're bad. I would say varying degrees of good for sure.
Now I will. Oh, go ahead.
I do think that the outlier in this entire situation is going to be World's End, because World's End was the largest departure. I guess if you appreciate World's End for being different, then yeah, sure, they flipped the role there, because Nick Frost, you're right, was always like the dopey, like, that may be why it stands out. That may be why maybe you're number one. But I personally think that you grew with these two characters, these two actors, and to see that major of a change, it was a bit jarring, and I just don't appreciate the way you do.
I'll even go as far to say is that Hot Fuzz and World's End might swap back and forth for me, but I've seen for the most part the World's End would be my favorite, but they might go back and forth because quotability, I quote Hot Fuzz a lot more.
Oh, dude, Hot Fuzz is like the most quotable movie.
Yeah,
I think with the World's End, it really also matters on the preference of someone's like what genre they really enjoy, because like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are genres you've seen more often compared to an alien invasion thing.
Yeah,
like alien invasion stuff you rarely see anymore. Like Body Snatchers was way back in the day, and like compared to like now, you don't really see it happen as often. So it's just having that just felt.
And to add on, I will say that these movies might not be for everyone, depending on what type of humor you like, because it's very.
I would say that you have to like these movies. There's one of these movies will hit home for you in the right way.
No, maybe. So that's why there's three, because you might find you like one and maybe not like the others. But the comedy is very it's very UK. I mean, it's you can tell it was their UK actors. No, by the way they their comedy is very would you consider it like dry humor, I guess?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit on the dry side.
It's not outlandish or outrageous or anything. It's very
subtle.
Very tongue in cheek.
A lot of it's more, I think, visual as well.
Yeah,
kind of like a Benny Hill kind of thing, where it's very slapstick. Yeah. But that's also, I think that's one of the things that you can kind of get from those movies. Wrapping up, is the fact that with those movies, they are very UK in the sense that the type of interactions they have, they're to almost quote in the interview. You remember, he says we're same but different. That's the thing, is like you can see like a lot of the acting methodologies they use in that movie are very similar to the ones that they would pick up here in the United States. Sorry, there's a gnat flying around this room. It's pissing me off. They're very similar to the type of acting you'd see in the United States, but it's the humor. The humor is the big thing, and I think because of the fact they rely on jokes that you have to look for the punchline. Very punny, punny kind of jokes, and like especially Hot Fuzz. And I think that's the reason why I like it so much. Is if you say you watch the entire series of Downton Abbey, right? You're very used to hearing that type of talk, or better yet, even some other movies, you don't hear them talk like that. But then you go and watch Hot Fuzz, and they're making all these references that you understand, but they're making them funnier. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Maybe I've had too much to drink already.
No, well, it's a lot of
I think it's just really funny the way they twist the stuff.
Yeah, it's specific like UK references sometimes too that you might not understand. Like some jokes I didn't understand. I think some jokes I had to like when I first watched them, I had to like look up like why is that funny, and I looked up. I forgot which one in particular, but there was one joke. I don't know if it was in Hot Fuzz. I had to actually look it up. I remember, and I was like,
I feel like it's the one thing that a lot of people look up, the jog on part, like having to figure out like what does jog on mean.
Oh yeah, I think that was when I was younger when I first saw it. Now
Daddy, what does jog on mean? The jog on. You don't say that word because that's bad UK body language.
Going back on how I was saying it's visual, also like Edgar Wright himself, like he's really like a visual, like compared to his other movies like Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim. Like,
oh yeah.
You can tell his style is like really particular,
dude.
And just those shots and everything, just the quick.
All
shots.
Those are good movies, by the way.
Baby Driver was such a surprisingly good movie. I didn't think that I was gonna care too much about it. But two things. If you're gonna be cool enough to kill Jamie Foxx with a fucking pitchfork, or not pitchfork, excuse me, a forklift in your car, that's pretty badass, I guess. You know, I mean, you got some grit there. But yeah, no, Baby Driver was great. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I think for a lot of people, that's a hit or a miss, only because of the fact that you're either really going to be into like, that's like that one friend who is like, oh my God, I'm such a nerd. You know, it's kind of like you're either really into that kind of humor or you're not. Scott Pilgrim, Michael Cera, being as fucking odd as he is, really encapsulating that role, you're kind of like, I either really like your character or I hate the fact you're pining over this girl who, honestly, I don't really.
Ever since I saw This Is the End, I can't look at Michael Cera the same either.
Oh, yeah, no. This is the end. Hey, does this Coke smell bad to you?
It's so good. Have you ever seen Youth in Revolt with him?
Yes, Youth in Revolt. He
I
grew
love
the
that
fucking shitty mustache and
Yeah.
and one other Michael Cera movie. Wait, no, I was getting him and Jesse Eisenberg. See, that happens a lot. Two little fucking awkward kids. I was gonna say American Ultra, but that was definitely not him.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you haven't seen American Ultra, do yourself a favor and don't watch it. No, it wasn't that bad. So now that we got the Cornetto Trilogy out of the way, that was a very important topic that a lot of you had to sit through. And if you didn't like that, I'm sorry. This next one's gonna make you happier. We're gonna talk about the best movie killers, right? So we're talking about people who have killed in movies, people who stand out as some of the best killers. Real quick, we're going to throw this little modifier out there. Thanos, you cannot pick Thanos because technically no one died except, well, Loki, but we'll find out, right?
Gamora died too.
Gamora, but he didn't kill Gamora. Oh, he did, didn't he?
He fucking murdered her.
He fucking murdered her.
He pushed her off.
She didn't exactly give herself for the stone. I guess you're right. He gave up everything, like she said. That little fucking balance knife and everything too. So yeah, in before Thanos. So we started with Raul first, and we're gonna pick our top 3 favorite movie killers. So Jesus, who's your number 3 killer?
Is it exclusively people, or can it also be like creatures?
Monsters,
Maybe like
Any of the focal points of movies, yeah.
Okay, so my number 3 is gonna be probably. I made a list. Give me a second.
Oh.
Probably my number 3 would be probably The Thing from John Carpenter's The Thing.
You know what? I gotta tell you, when you said, "Can it be a creature?" I was like, he's gonna say the fucking Thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Thing. I mean, that thing. I've never seen the original.
You've never seen it? Well, there's the original, the 1982 one, the John Carpenter one, and then the other one is from 2011 with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a prequel. So
that was the one that led up, and I think. So the guy in the machine at the end, obviously he was the Thing because he didn't have his earring in.
Yeah.
And that was the whole like da 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 thing.
Yeah.
Literally thing.
It gets a lot of hate, that movie, honestly, but I think it's a decent movie. It's nowhere like as good as the original or the one that it's being a prequel towards. But when you watch that movie before watching the 1982 one,
mm-hmm.
I really love how it ends because it leads right into the original. Like the intro is literally just pretty much like follows right into it, and it's just so good. Like last scene is the first scene for the new one.
Hey, I have to say I love The Thing, and I thank you, Jesus, for getting me to finally watch that movie. Because I
shirt on.
Yeah, I love that shirt, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I finally saw The Thing this year. I actually went with Jesus and a few of our friends, and we actually saw it the night before coronavirus shut down all the movie theaters.
Yeah.
We went to the Draft House, and we went to go see The Thing at the Draft House. And that was a great movie. I really love that movie.
So then, Raul, what is your number 3 killer?
Number 3, I want to say, I didn't make a fucking list. I was just gonna do this on the spot. My fault. You know what one really stands out to me? Fucking from American Psycho.
Oh, Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman. I have to say, I really like that. I really like that movie. I remember that scene always sticks with me, where he's doing the fucking dance with the hatchet.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that. He was like, "Is that a raincoat?" Why, yes, it is.
Yeah, his acting was just so on point in that movie, dude. And yeah. That's my number 3, Patrick Bateman.
I love the chainsaw scene. That's like one of my favorite scenes.
Dude,
when he's chasing her down like naked down like the hall. Yeah,
and he just tosses the chainsaw down the fucking stairs. He's like,
and then he just screams down he just
I think it's like the best part is like it's because he bites her like right before that scene, so his face is all covered in blood. So he's like screaming at her, and he just looks so crazy. I love
also
it.
that iconic scene where he's like fucking the chick, and he's just looking at it himself,
just staring at himself. The best scene from one of my favorite scenes in that movie was, and this just shows you like the level of detail they went into making his character seem like menacing and like just overall crazy, when he was obsessing over the fucking business card. When he was I was like, all right, so this guy's obviously next level crazy.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick my number 3 killer, excuse me. So we're not sticking specifically to humans or creatures, so that's good. Predator. So the reason I go Predator is, first of all, I am a huge Alien vs. Predator fan. The original comic book series, the video games, everything, the movies, those are things. The first one was I actually, honestly, the only reason I even watched the first one, and this is stupid, is because it has Lance Henriksen in it. That's the only reason I watch it, because I was like, dude, this guy's like, I've always wanted them to reveal, is that the fucking is he the same character from Aliens? Obviously he's not, but one could hope. And then also he fucking torches the Predator in the back. But Predator as themselves being the perfect killer. I mean, dude, straight up, like Predator 1, Predator 2. This guy, different Predators, of course, again, still. But they have some of the best body counts and some of the best kills. I like the samurai kind of feel behind it. Like, he doesn't kill if it's not honorable. If you're unarmed, he's not going to kill you. He didn't kill that lady because she was pregnant. He did us a favor and killed Bill Paxton. So I mean, there's a lot of things that happened in those movies that I thought kind of stood out, and that's why Predator is going to be my number 3.
Good choice. I think it's a good choice. Yeah, definitely. So my number 2, I am going to go with Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series.
The original slasher.
I feel like Jason's a little overrated and underrated at the same time. I feel like people don't really get, like, he's a little more than just, like, people always just assume he's this nonstop killing machine. He's a normal person up until, like, part 4.
When he goes to hell, right?
Well, he goes to hell in part 9, actually.
Oh, okay. So then, obviously,
based on number 10, and that's right. Just I don't understand.
Yeah. I only remember number 9, by the way. I remember the crazy looking cover, but then also I remember because it was near the beginning of the movie where that chick and that dude were in the tent, and then she gets that fucking piece of her chest and tears her up. I'm like, okay, so this is
I really love Jason a lot. Like, the first, like, I love the Friday the 13th series all the way through. I think the first one is very boring, and it's not Jason, the first movie, so it's just kind of like, eh. But I love pretty much all of them, even part 5, the one that gets a lot of hate because it's not even Jason to begin with. Either it's like a copycat. But my favorite one is part 6, I think, because that's like when he just starts going, like, off the rails ridiculous. It's like the whole reason he comes back to life is because Tommy Jarvis shows up to, like, conquer his PTSD from it.
Yeah.
And he sticks he goes to, like, the grave where Jason's buried, and he sticks the big pole in it during a lightning storm. And the lightning strikes the pole and just reanimates Jason, and he starts going on the killing spree. And I just love that. It's just so goofy and just the epitome of 80s slashers.
What's really funny is Jason. So I know Jason came out in the 70s, right?
I think the first one was like 79, maybe, or 80.
And when did Halloween come out? Halloween was about the same time.
78.
78. Yeah. So we see 2 of the most iconic slashers come out generally the same time frame. And at that point, after that first couple of movies, they both make decisions in their character, or the creators make decisions in their characters and say, all right, cool. Michael Myers, brooding, dark. You hate Laurie. I get it. Just keep doing that. And Jason's like, the people who made the movie, like, just do what you do, bro. Just go kill shit, you know? So, hey, let's have a pole reanimated with lightning. Does it sound good to you? The guy's like, yeah, that fucking sounds possible to me, dude. I fucking see that before on fucking Animal Planet, you know? So, like, that whole series goes fucking nuts. Jason X, when he goes to space, and then, so not only does he perform his most iconic kill in the VR thing, you know, putting the girls in the fucking hey, we're gonna smoke pot and have premarital sex. You want in? And then kills him in the sleeping bag. But if I also remember correctly, he was on the outside at the end of the movie. He was on the outside of the spaceship. He grabs that other dude, and they go rocketing towards the Earth. And this fucker withstands the re-entry into Earth. So that is just something else completely. That is like another level of, like, don't fuck with this guy.
I love in Jason X, where you're mentioning, like, that iconic kill. I think the better kill in Jason X is because he does the sleeping bag kill in another one before that, I think, also. But there's one that I just love that stands out to me all the time. Jason X is when he first wakes up in the space shuttle, and that girl's like turns her back, and he grabs her head and puts it in the liquid nitrogen.
I was just thinking that
Oh
one.
shit!
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one.
And then
So
shatters
good.
it. So, and not to depart too much further, but have you played the Friday the 13th game?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
me and Raul we used to play like crazy
Yeah,
up until like
we
The
used to.
stopped
only
getting support.
Yeah, the only reason I really liked that game was because of all the very Jason-y things you do. And it's funny, like there were some kills in that game that were completely unique to the game, but
Mhm.
you looked at it and you're like, that is 100% something Jason would do. And the fact that some developers got together and said, hey, let's make a Jason game where he does really fucked up things to people's bodies, and like, hey, there's really no bounds. You can't. He breaks people in half. The door thing,
Well,
dude, everything.
They actually had Tom Savini, one of the guys
Yep.
who like helped with it, and also they had Kane Hodder who played Jason do the motion capture.
I
So it's
remember
like super
seeing.
accurate.
I remember seeing the making of when they were talking about. I feel like they were talking about it at an E3 or during an E3 kind of event, and that was a huge news. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, Jason's
Yeah.
going to a fucking asymmetrical survival." And when I saw that Tom Savini was involved with it, I was like, "All right, so we know that he's getting the seal of approval from Tom Savini, like the
Yeah.
master of horror. If there was ever a king of horror, it's Tom Savini, right?
Definitely.
Scream King, I guess, right? But like, yeah. So that was a big thing to me. Yeah, Tom Savini, fucking Jason, everything about that is good. Speaking of good, we're gonna hear something bad. Raul, what's yours?
All right, number 2. Y'all ready for this?
Better be good. Come on.
Y'all ready for this?
I'm ready. Let me hear it.
The town from Hot Fuzz. They are my second
this
favorite
fucking
killers.
guy.
You know why? Because they fooled the whole town for how many years? For the greater good. For the greater good, and they fooled everyone.
For the first time in my life, I'm glad she's dead. Yeah,
It's a unique choice. You're right. You're right though. They are killers. I didn't
They
think
are
about
killers.
it at all.
Yeah, think about outside the box, guys.
Mr. Skinner.
Not just
Unique.
no, honestly though, that was more of like a joke thing. But one killer that always stuck out to me, and it's more because of the movies itself, was Ghostface from Scream.
Yeah, you know, I feel like this is a great. It's really funny how you picked Hot Fuzz and then you go and pick Ghostface because
I was trying to think of something. I was like,
the idea that the entirety of Scream is based upon tropes and other things that are involved with horror movies. So I think it's really funny. Like it's a very interesting choice, but I would agree with that because he's kind of like every iconic killer wrapped in one.
Well, I think what I liked about the Scream movies themselves too is that just they're parodies of themselves. Like they don't even take themselves seriously, which is hilarious.
Mhm.
Like, you know how you have the scary movies that make fun of them? Well, they're basically a parody and making fun of a parody because the scary movies are basically a parody of themselves.
Yeah.
But see, I think at that point, one
It's
would
cheesy
argue
as
that-
fuck.
One would argue that Scream actually comes down more of an homage than a parody, right? Because I mean, at that
They're
point,
serial killers. At that
yeah,
point.
exactly. Because like the whole thing that sets the entire tone for the rest of the series. I don't remember too much of Scream 4 aside from that one FBI agent's face getting smashed with poles and him still twitching. That scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. But the opening scene with Drew Barrymore and that whole conversation about killers and stuff.
Yeah.
That when I saw that, I was like, what is this? You know, and then as the movie kept going on, it was like I was too young to really get all the nuances in it. And then when I realized that they were all just not only did that paint everybody who liked horror movies like, is this guy or is he not the same guy? But it also it really took the aspect of a copycat killer and made it kind of in a weird way make sense because it's everywhere, right? So
It's relatable. It's relatable. With
I can't tell you how many times when I was in school. Just kidding. I'm not gonna make that joke because it's too soon. No, but like it was a really neat idea for a movie, and I would agree. I think Ghostface is a good one. He's not my number 2, but I would say he's definitely in my top 10. He's top 10 killers who needs to be heralded. So my number 2 actually is going to be Terminator. First of all,
really,
yeah, and the reasoning why.
Good choice.
is
choice.
first of all, you got to have balls of steel, no pun intended, to walk up to somebody, ask her name, is your name Sarah Connor? She says yes, and you blow her to fucking Kingdom Come, right?
You shoot the wrong person.
Yeah, you should. And he's like, it doesn't matter, you know.
It's a fucking robot.
It doesn't. Hey, he's fucking MODOK, machine only designed, machine, or fucking organism, mechanical organism designed only to kill. So anyway. Something like that. I forgot exactly what the acronym MODOK is, but no, Terminator I think is a good choice. And the reason I think it's a good choice is because I picked him, but the only reason is because in the original Terminator, yes, 100%, he was a machine. He was only there for one purpose, and that was to kill John Connor. And at that point, he was still. You can't really. Again, it's not relegated specifically to people, but I still agree with the fact that he's a robot. It doesn't count. But then when you look at Terminator further into the future for Terminator 2, Terminator 3, all the other god-awful Terminators that came out, honestly, by the way, not going to lie, the most recent one, I don't think I hated that much. But I'll digress on that one. You watch it. It's interesting.
No, because I didn't like Genesis.
All I'm going to say...
I didn't like Salvation.
All those movies are shit tier.
I didn't watch... what was the third one called?
Fucking Rise of the Machines.
That was horrible.
More like falling asleep. No, like all the movies aren't good, except Terminator 2 was like by far the best Terminator movie if you don't count the first one. The first one, origin stories have a very special point in my heart, but Terminator 2 showed the evolution of not only Arnold as an actor, if you want to call that acting. It wasn't very difficult for someone to just be very monotone. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the reason why he hit a home run with that, is because being somebody who's only from the gym, known as Mr. Olympia, had very little film work up to that point. For him just to be able to like, this is how I talk. I am a machine. I'm here to fuck up everything. Your parents are already dead. You know, that's not very hard to do that shit. But you get to see like from his first role as Terminator to his second role as Terminator, a much more compassionate Terminator on accident, right? Made to protect John Connor instead of kill John Connor. He turns into a killer out of necessity versus a killer out of, and even at that point, you know, he didn't kill that many people when you think about it. I mean, he killed a lot of people still, but he didn't kill that many people. But yeah, the other Terminators, especially in the new one, I gotta tell you, it wasn't the worst it could be. I do think that and we'll get a little slightly political in this one. I think the reason why the new one was important to watch is, first of all, it had the new T1000 style unit, the T6000. The dude was from Texas, right? So not only from a demographic standpoint, we finally got a Latino being the bad guy who's not being like a gangster, right? So it's not fucking.
Was it called the T1000 or was it red?
No, I was like T1000S guy. It's like T8000 or T6. I forgot the name, the denomination of it. But yeah, I mean, we finally have somebody who's not fucking who's not being played by the guy who plays Noel or whatever the fuck his name is from fucking Fast and the Furious. That dude, you know what I'm talking about? Hector, he's in every single fucking movie, and whenever he's playing as a bad guy, it's always the same thing. He's always like, "Hey, I'm gonna fuck you up," right? So now we had Hispanic, we had a Hispanic dude representing raza, in such a different way. He's still a bad guy, but now he's killing indiscriminately as a robot.
I thought the new one, Dark Fate, was all right. Like, it wasn't. I don't think it was amazing. I still feel like it could have been a lot better, for sure.
It could have been a lot better.
But I feel it's slightly better than Genesis, but I feel like they're kind of like still kind of close to each other. But I did like the guy who played the villain in Dark Fate a lot, and I really love the scene in particular too when he's going through the metal detector, and he tells that guy before he goes in, he's like, "You're gonna get he's like, get ready for a big beep." He's like, "My whole body's a weapon." I love that scene so much. Like, it's just so cool.
Well, and then like the one thing that I thought that was, and this is something that I pointed out to a few of my other friends. Yes, Raul, I have other friends. This is something I pointed out to my other friends who were watching the movie. They didn't watch it with me, but who I explained it to. I was like, so the one thing that made this particular like John Connor Hunter way more dangerous than any of the other ones, and they're like, and you have to understand this. At the end of the movie, before the movie was over, that fucking robot was trying to reason. He was trying to make sense of this. Just walk away. You don't have to die for this. And I was like,
Yeah.
honestly, that makes him 1,000 times more dangerous. Because if you're just walking after somebody trying to kill him, like fucking like the original T-1000 being all Dale Doge, fucking not Dale Doge, fucking Dale from King of the Hill. Straight up, he was modeled after that character, by the way. He was modeled after that.
Was really?
Yeah. So he's not walking around just saying like, let me kill you. He's now explaining to you, hey, you don't have to die here. I can just take him and you guys get to go live your life. How are you going to know what the fuck happens? And he even say like the future is unavoidable anyway. And I was like, dude, This is not only a robot that will mercilessly ruin everything, but also he's like, come on, I'm not that bad of a guy. I'll let you live. So that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
he was definitely a really cool villain for sure. Something a nice little twist, but also being more of the same, I guess, in a way.
yeah,
Like the whole like liquid robot, but also being like two robots at once. I thought
that was the
cool.
really neat part too. Like they kicked a skeleton out of his body and he still fought. I'm like, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Reminded me of a Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So we're down to our number one. These are very important picks, so do not squander these. This is like the fucking draft in the NBA, or even the NFL, depending on which draft you watch.
I might have a tie for mine. I don't know.
Don't you be putting that
I might have it. Damn it, I can't because I thought of one off the top of my head right now, and I was like, I wish I would have inserted him on my list somewhere, but it's fine. Go ahead.
If you say Pac-Man, I'm gonna hit you.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it's not Pac-Man.
It's your turn.
Now you say tie, I feel like I have a tie also. It's hard. It's tough. I want to say my main choice because it's definitely one of my favorite horror movies.
Okay,
also.
so real quick, because I think now that you guys fucking say this, I think we got a runner-up. Just say the runner-up, and then we're gonna go for the number one. So give us your runner-up and your number one.
So runner-up, it's gonna be Jeepers Creepers. I really love that character. I love the character. I just wish the movies were better. Well, the first two are great.
Okay,
third one's terrible. But I love the character. The character is just so just spooky. The idea of just like, oh, it comes out every like 23 years, feeds and just leaves. I just thought it was just kind of like, it's eerie because like the movie's filmed really well and done like spooky. The character itself is just creepy looking. And just like knowing that you can't really kill it unless it's like done feeding pretty much. But my number one for sure, because it's my favorite horror movie pretty much, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface. I love Leatherface.
Oh, Leatherface. One would argue his entire family is the killer, but Leatherface himself being the one who does everything in, like, I mean, that's. I remember watching the remake of because I never watched the original ones because they were always way too fucking scary for me. But I remember watching the remake, and when the lady was being drugged down to the fucking basement, her nails were coming out of her hand. That shit sucked. The chainsaw to the nads, that shit sucked. Dude, Leatherface did not give a fuck at all. Like, he was just
I love the remake. The remake is good. Like I think it gets a lot of hate, I feel, but it's pretty much like the same story, just a little gorier. The first movie, the original, I love like all the way through completely. Like whenever I rewatch that movie, the thing about it, the way it's filmed, since it's like so old, but also the way it's filmed, you can tell it's like super low budget. It just feels like you feel kind of dirty watching it. It feels like a snuff film or something. It's like, oh, these teenagers are being followed by a camera.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like also like it's not even very gory to begin with, honestly. Like all the gore is kind of like out of frame. Like there's one part when he's cutting someone's head off, but you see them laying down, so you see like the legs, but you don't see him like doing the actual sawing. You see the motion.
They keep it close. That's how they made sure back in the day they were able to pass that rating then.
Yeah. It leaves it to the imagination for sure, but it's just it definitely stuck with people.
Isn't that one of the scariest things, just being left to the imagination?
Yeah, I feel like when people think about that movie, they remember it way gorier than it actually is, and when they watch it, they're like, "Oh, it's not that bad at all." But it's just because of how the reputation I feel like it has.
So then you got some pretty big shoes to fill there, Raul.
I got it, guys. I found a way around my tie too, and it's on a technicality. It's on a technicality.
Oh, this fucking guy.
So my number one. Wait, ready for this? This is gonna blow y'all's fucking mind. You ready for this? Best movie killer is the Boogeyman, and hear me out. Hear me out. This is why I'm saying that. There's two. No, wait. Just hear me out. I thought of this in my head. Yeah, wait. There are two prolific boogeymen in cinema. There is Michael Myers, who was called the Boogeyman in Halloween. Is the Boogeyman real?
Also.
Yeah, the shape also. But Laurie says, was that the Boogeyman? And Dr.
Right.
Loomis says, yes, I think it was. Boogeyman, also the Baba Yaga, John Wick, the most
Get
elite
outta
killing
here.
machine, the most elite killing machine of all time. That man killed a bunch of people for his house and his dog. That man is, and he doesn't, and neither of them die. Neither of them fucking die.
That's true. You got a point. You got a point.
Technicality.
It's a ridiculous technicality.
It's ridiculous, but it's a technicality.
But I'll give you it.
Technically. Also, number one, Michael Myers. In a serious note, Michael Myers, I think, will always be my number one, just because that was one of the first horror movies I ever saw. Because my aunt, she was obsessed with it. I remember around Halloween time when they would do those Halloween marathons at AMC. I would watch Michael Myers, and that shit fucking scared the shit out of me.
The one thing, real quick, and this is why, like, I feel that Michael Myers will always be scarier than Jason, only because of the fact that once it got further in its life cycle, Michael Myers was still very plausible as far as a masked killer, and Jason being brought back to life with the fucking lightning rods. In that respect, it was way it became more of a fantasy. No, I mean, I understand that there was some magical shit with Michael Myers.
Yeah, because there was the Cult of Thorn that kind of.
But imagine the first one. Imagine the first.
The first one was 100%.
That shit was scary. There are people. You can probably look up still news articles of people afraid to fucking babysit now, like back in the day. I remember watching that movie by myself one time, and I was like, "Yep, cool, sleeping with the light on." I was younger, probably like 23. No, but that's just kidding about that one. No, but yeah, that shit's scary.
And it was funny. I remember one time when I was driving home. I was in my mom's car, I think. And I remember it was late at night, and we were driving from a movie I forgot what movie we went to go see, or we went to dinner or something. And as we were driving, I saw someone had a Michael Myers mask in their window, and I could see it from the distance, and it freaked the fuck out of me as a kid, because I was like, holy shit, is that Michael Myers? I was a little kid at this time, and it freaked, because it was just literally in the window of their house, and it was looking out into the street. I'm like, first of all, who the fuck would keep that there? And it was late at night.
Michael in the window.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my technicality. John Wick is technically more elite than all of y'all, because he will never die. That motherfucker fell he
got stabbed by a fucking Russian gangster. I mean, like, of course he's gonna survive forever.
Yeah, but also he fell from the top of a fucking building and smashed against a fucking trash bin, a fucking staircase, a metal staircase on the side of a building, and that dude still survived. He's been shot a million times. I mean, I'm just saying.
I bet you
he's plot armor.
Yeah. Well, he's also not afraid to walk down Brooklyn in the middle of the night. So,
yeah, that dude took on literally.
I bet you
an entire world of hitmen and did not die. So I
feel like he's the only one that I could ever imagine who's brave enough to walk down Goliad at about 9:30. So, that's a San Antonio joke. You guys don't in San Antonio, you don't get that joke. Sorry, I won't explain. I might explain it.
But yeah, technicality, Boogeyman, number one.
So. Best movie killer, number one. First of all, I got my runner-up. And if I had one, I have to have the other. My runner-up, honestly, is going to be... Actually, you know what? I mixed up here. My runner-up is going to be the girl from You're Next. That movie was by far one of the biggest surprise slasher films of my entire life. I didn't know she was gonna be like, I grew up on an Australian fucking preserve or some shit on a compound. Yeah. My dad taught me how to survive and also taught me how to murder fuckers who tried to murder me. So when she went through and started setting, she started setting up all these traps and stuff, and everyone died around her. The fucking camera thing in the basement, come on, dude. That's like some next level, like Sam Fisher, like I lost all my tools, let me kill this guy, some shit. She is runner-up only because of the fact that her body count in this movie was not as high as it could have been had she been let loose earlier in the movie. I get it. Also, high five to that budget. It was a $1 million budget and brought in $27 million. Not great, but not bad.
Well, for that budget, hell yeah, that was $26 million profit. I mean,
it's mainly because it's one location though, also too.
Yeah, just
whole movie's like set in one area. Yeah,
fucking in the house with the woods, the neighbor's house, and they had to rent that house for like a day. So the number one killer in my book, like I said, I had one. I can't do one without the other. It has to be the Xenomorph from Alien. Now, not to be confused with the Xenomorphs from the movie Aliens, Alien Resurrection, Alien 3, any of those. Specifically, the first Alien. because this fucker ripped through the entire crew of the Nostromo in like a matter of I mean, the movie really kind of paced it for a couple hours. This thing just killed everything. And of course, Ripley, like you said, plot armor, she had to survive. Just to make it the second one to deal with a whole bunch of the fuckers. But I mean, if you're looking at the species in general, that thing is made to be like a locust, move in, destroy everything. But one of them killed everything, everybody except her. I thought that the movie Alien was easily one of the scariest movies involving aliens ever, because it was Aliens was a sci-fi movie. Game over, man, fucking Marines with guns. For some reason, when you see people fighting aliens or fighting monsters and they have guns, you feel so much safer in the theater than you do when you watch somebody who has a flamethrower that was not made to be a flamethrower fighting something that is killing everybody. So yeah, the movie was a survival horror game, and this is exactly why I feel like they used that as the basis of like the feeling for the movie Alien, the game Alien Isolation, because they made Alien. They made the Colonial Marines game, which was a shitstorm. They made the Alien vs Predator game where you can play as a Marine and you still feel very empowered. The fact that you can kill other stuff automatically tells you it's not that big of a life or death situation. But in the movie Alien, it was just so scary. I really feel like they struck gold with it. And when they made the second one, I get it. James Cameron wanted to have his fun, and they wanted to make a big sci-fi western in the stars with aliens. But they really fucked up that series when they kept going with that. And then, of course, don't even get me started. Fucking, what's it called?
Prometheus?
Prometheus was a shitstorm.
Man,
I thought Prometheus was all right. I thought Covenant was a little.
Covenant was the direction I wanted them to go in the longest time, because I wanted to see the original Xenomorph pop up, right? And it did, finally. But in Prometheus, and this is just an argument, and I get it. Some people are going to be like, aren't you splitting hairs? Like, absolutely fucking not. I am not splitting hairs. When it comes down to Prometheus was not a prequel to the Alien movies. Prometheus was an origin story of the alien species. Because of the fact that we're talking about how the xenomorphs came to be. Now, my argument, and before we get to the next subject, my argument to declare the difference between a origin story and a sequel is a sequel generally has a story that leads directly, or a prequel, has a story that leads directly into the next movie, or has more than just the general theme attached to it. So like Terminator 2 was almost exactly from Terminator 1 because it had the same characters, yada yada. In Prometheus, it was not a prequel because it did not have any of the same. The only thing it had was Weyland-Yutani. That's it. But that's like a namesake in the entire Alien universe. And I just thought the movie failed at every single part to be a prequel. I think it's an origin story, just like fucking Wolverine Origins is not a prequel to X2 or X-Men at all. It's an origin story of Wolverine. Anyway, also it's a shitty movie. Alien Covenant, that movie, the best part of that movie was in the last 20 minutes. I was like, are you fucking serious? I wanted to see a CG alien wreck some shit. Instead, I got to see this little white alien bite someone in their neck. It was, if I want to see white alien bite people in the neck, we'd be talking about Uwe Boll, which surprisingly, we actually are going to be talking about Uwe Boll. By the way, enjoyed our list of best movie killers. Make sure you guys give us your list of best movie killers in the comments section down below, because that's what cool people do. And you guys are all cool, right? We say a lot of curse words and you guys are okay with that. That's how I know you're cool. Worst video game movies. And there's only really one name that comes up with video game movies. If you go online and type in UWE space BOLL, you will be looking for a director by the name of Uwe Boll. And if you've never heard of this guy is exactly what happens when you let bad things happen to movies, right? So Uwe Boll is a German filmmaker and also a restaurateur, by the way. He is a German filmmaker who has been responsible for some of the worst video game movies to ever come out. What video game movies, you may ask? Well, one of them, if you guys have never seen it, has been Blood Rain, which was a shit-tastic movie. The game was never really anything to write home about, but the movie was terrible. He made the movie Postal. If you've ever played that controversial PC game Postal, you know the game. There's literally you can go any direction with the movie Postal, and it would be okay. But somehow on a movie about a game that was literally about going to fucking cash a check so you can buy milk and shit, he turned this game or this movie into something it should not be. This is like if someone. This is exactly actually this. I can think of no better euphemism for what he did to this movie than if someone goes to eat a $500 steak and turns it into the same shit everyone else turns it into. That's exactly what he did. Not calling Postal a $500 steak by any means, but you guys get the idea. So, Uwe Boll, right? Let's talk about this guy real quick. I know before we started recording, Jesus, you had talked about one of the movies that you've seen by him. What movie was that?
Rampage. I've seen multiple of his movies because I just watch a lot of movies in general, but unfortunately I've seen more than one. But Rampage is one that I've seen that I actually enjoyed. It was enjoyable just because it was just so. It wasn't a video game movie for one by him. I don't even think the guy plays video games. I feel like he just kind of sees something and he's like, "Oh, that looks like a good movie to make."
And in
but
fact,
Rampage
actually,
was a decent movie.
I think he was actually accused of that. Even people have said that there's no way he plays these games. And I will tell you this, dude, if he does play these games, he has the imagination of a fucking toddler. This guy, like he sees something and all of a sudden he's like, great idea. And it's like, it's this big thing. It's like we just mentioned fucking Michael Myers being called the boogeyman, right? Remember when the kids saw him and said, that's the boogeyman. Well, we all know what the boogeyman is for the most part. That's not Michael Myers, but to a kid, it was the boogeyman. To him, Postal was a shitty movie made back in 2007, or Blood Rain even was a movie about Nazi fighting vampires that still, if you fucked up Postal, I can get it. It's a game about nothing, and there's nothing you do about it. Blood Rain literally sets you up for the shittiest movie ever, and he's made it shittier, dude. Vampires fighting Nazis, you can't make this shit up high on LSD, and he still made this shit worse.
Imagine make a sequel too.
Dude, he made 3 of them, yeah. He made Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2 Deliverance, which he replaced the main actress.
So this is my first time. This is my first time hearing about this guy. And then before we started recording here, you showed us the trailer for Blubberella.
Yeah. Oh God, Blubberella! I need to watch this fucking movie, dude.
Yep. That just looks horrendous on so many fronts.
If you guys don't recognize that the girl who played Blubberella, I don't remember the actress's name. I saw it here in front of me, but I don't remember her name. But I do know that she was in the movie Get Smart. And she was in a bit role in Get Smart. You remember when they went to the dance and she was like the Russian princess or some shit who dragged him by the hair?
Yeah.
That was her. That was her. I recognize her because like she has a very unique looking face. So not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. She actually.
Oh. So go ahead.
No, I was like, so I recognize her face like for some reason.
So apparently, I'm looking at Wikipedia, right? Apparently, Blubberella is a scene-for-scene spoof of Blood Rain: The Third Reich.
Really?
That's what it says.
Well, so he spoofed his
because it's true. Because in the trailer they did say she was a vampire, and she's fighting Nazis with swords. She's an obese woman, obese vampire.
Why would you make a movie?
So real quick, we're gonna do this real quick, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do the description for Blood Rain: The Third Reich is bloodthirsty thrills from Schlockmaster Uwe Boll. Sexy vampire warrior Rain, already off to a great start, must take on the might of the nefarious zombies when they plot to use her blood to make Hitler immortal. Okay? Now, let's real quick, and I promise you,
I can read the plot for Blubberella.
What is the plot for Blubberella? Please tell us.
In the year 1940, Blubberella is a plus-sized vampire-human hybrid with a hatred of Adolf Hitler and a soft spot for candy. Wow, that's
so. I feel like that description is actually even better than the description you can find on Google, where it says an obese woman with explosive footsteps uses her dual swords against people who ridicule her. What in the actual fuck?
Yeah, it says she has been fighting the forces of evil for centuries, and when she comes face to face with the dictator who plunged all of Europe straight into a hellish war, However, in the midst of sending Hitler to meet his maker, she instead accidentally grants him the gift of immortality. Now Hitler is a supervillain with an army of undead SS officers to do his evil bidding.
What?
Destroying him won't be easy, but if there is one hero big enough to, God damn it, big enough to, I can't read this seriously, to defeat the fire-crest army ever to walk the earth, it's Blubberella.
So there's
actually... Fiercest. I said Firecrest. I don't know what the fuck I was reading. Fiercest.
Sounds like a better story than the Call of Duty Zombies. That's for sure.
For sure. No.
Oh, that was a cheap shot.
So something else that's really funny about Uwe Boll is actually in Blubberella when I watched the trailer for him. If you guys get a chance to watch Blubberella again, throw this shit in the comments because I gotta hear what you guys think.
We did do like a watch. We did a watch this. Like,
we do like a watch party or some shit. I'm sure Uwe Boll would just, he's dying for someone to watch it. So if one of us pays for it and we do it in a watch party, hey, he's already doubled his profit. Because I'm sure this movie did not sell at all.
We're giving him all the exposure right now.
I almost don't want to do this anymore because he needs to stop. So in that movie Blubberella, he actually plays Hitler, which I think is a very apt role for him, considering the fact that he is just like Hitler ruined the country and one would argue the world during his time. Yeah, I think Uwe Boll pretty much ruined all these movies. He made Far Cry, the game Far Cry came out like early 2000s. He made a game based on Far Cry, which was shit-tastic. Worst CG I've ever seen. You can tell the guy was on a budget. He did, and this is showing. I know that you're a fan of Mr. Robot, right? But
oh yeah, we both are. Yeah, I mean, it's just we watched that. Oh man, that was it's
disappointing finale together.
So
sad.
Hey, well, real quick, that series is great though. Sam Esmail,
fantastic.
Fantastic. Just the ending was a little.
So
we watched that show religiously, and it just
This right here is, and it makes you wonder how something like this happens. This is
this is related to Mr. Robot?
I'll show you why. Ready?
Oh, okay.
Specifically for one person, but I'm gonna ask you. In 2005, at the peak of some of these people's fucking like how famous they were, their fame. They said they didn't bother to Google who Uwe Boll was because I don't think he was popping up the same way. But in 2005, somehow, under duress, I'm sure, he got Christian Slater, Tara Reid, and Steven Dorff to be in a movie. Now, if you guys don't remember Steven Dorff, he's the one who played the bad vampire in the Blade. Tara Reid from American Pie fame.
She looks hideous now. Sorry.
And fucking Sharknado. And Christian Slater from great movies that I've seen, like fucking, he was in True Romance. He was in Wind Talkers, in Broken Arrow. Yeah, dude, like, so he got these three actors, arguably at that time, maybe not Steven Dorff, because he
what year was it?
After that. 2005. Christian Slater he was not doing that bad.
And Tara Reid was off of like American Pie at that point.
This is actually right after American Pie American Wedding, I think.
Hey, she actually wasn't in that one though.
Oh, she wasn't. They referenced her. You're right.
Yeah, they referenced her.
They probably wrote her off because she had that fucking. Well, we're not gonna go into that. Anyway, so the fact of the matter is, he got these people here. I'm pretty sure they owed him money or something. Either that, or he had pictures of them doing something they shouldn't have been doing. This movie was a shitstorm, and those people should feel bad about being in that movie. But I'm pretty sure they already do. So we're not gonna keep bringing that up. Now the other other games that he ruined was in the name of the King, which he actually had Jason Statham in that. I'm sure Jason somehow he recovered from that, so that's good. Jason Statham was in that movie. He didn't do that bad. He's done other movies that were not necessarily based off of games, but some of the movies that he's based off of games are the most notable. He's done two other In the Name of the King movies, which if you look at the original Name of the King movie, it is taglined as a Dungeon Siege tale, and everything else is taglined as fucking nothing. So like the creator of the game basically said like, yeah, no, this isn't what our game is about at all. So you can go ahead and keep your fucking Dolph Lundgren. We don't want to do this anymore, which is really funny too. And then we'll go back to the other game movies. How he goes from Jason Statham from Expendables to Dolph Lundgren from Expendables to fucking Dominic Purcell. Like out of nowhere in 2013, Dominic Purcell said, "You know what? I lost all my money from fucking Blade 3. Can I have a role, please?"
Who's Dominic Purcell? Did he play Dracula?
Yeah.
He played Blade 3. Oh, okay.
He was also in Prison Break, but that show I'm more confused about Prison Break than I've ever been about fucking the show Lost, because Prison Break started and stopped and started and stopped. Did he ever get it out? I'm sure he did. He got caught again. I don't know. He is obviously still doing something. I know I saw him in a movie recently. Actually,
you know
just
what movie
kidding.
he was in? He was in the remake of. Hey, Sushi, you might remember. He was in the remake of Straw Dogs. You remember?
Yeah.
Yes,
He played
yes,
the
he was.
mentally disabled guy. Right?
Yeah, he played. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him in that movie when he accidentally killed that shit, and he was just like, man, it wasn't his fault, but
Yeah.
it kind of was.
I mean, like Jason Statham didn't give a shit. No, it wasn't Jason Statham. Who was it? It was somebody else.
Wasn't it? Is he like still a popular actor? I want to say it's the guy from the Sonic the Hedgehog movie
yeah,
recently.
James
Yes,
Marsden.
James
Is it
Marsden. It was
Is
him.
it him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think I ever saw Straw Dogs. I think I saw the preview of it. I may have seen it. I don't know. I watched too many movies. I have too much time. And the last movie that we're gonna leave off of when it comes down to the Uwe Boll shitty movie remakes is going to be House of the Dead. Now, this one we talked about. We kind of have a special place for this
I
one.
like it.
Because like this is a very unique situation in the fact that it is made by Uwe Boll. You just learned who he was today, Raul.
Yeah.
Jesus and I have some previous experience with this guy as far as his shitty taste in making movies. But this movie kind of goes back to our conversation about Shaun the Dead and the fact that it's a zombie movie. They're everywhere. And honestly, House of the Dead was not the worst one I've seen.
No.
I think it's a product of its time.
Oh, very much
Is
so.
the thing.
If you were to make that movie again right now, you'd be like, what kind of B shit is this? And this is actually one of the few movies he made that I believe got a theatrical release. Not a whole lot of his movies get In the Name of a King got one, and I
feel like it was based off the popularity of the game too, maybe because
Oh,
House of the Dead
100%.
was famous. The PC shooter arcade game.
What do you call it? During the scene, I remember seeing the movie like really. I used to watch the movie a lot when I was younger because it used to always be on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
But I remember, I remember during the whole because they have that whole rave scene with the really dated 2000s music.
Yes.
And for some reason, all the DJs have banners that say Sega on it, but that's it. It just says Sega, and it's just so out of place and ridiculous.
That's how he gets fucking money.
Yeah, it's definitely just this is House of the Dead. Sega made it. There you go. Here's your paycheck.
I remember going to y'all remember GameWorks when it was still around?
Oh yeah,
dude, I used to go there all the time. Me and my dad, and you never went to GameWorks, Suze?
No.
Dude, that play GameWorks.
Yeah, it was basically
that,
like
no,
it was like a all you can play game place like on the weekends. It was basically a giant ass arcade.
Yeah. You never went there? It was in the quarry. It was at the one I went to was at the quarry. I don't know if there was another.
That's where the gym is now.
They replaced it with a bloody gym.
As big as slap in the face. You show up, you want to play video games, and now you got to fucking train.
Yeah, I remember me and my dad used to take me there all the time, and we used to play House of the Dead there like endlessly. Yeah. Also a Star Wars game, but yeah, House of the Dead was not that bad of a movie.
It actually
very enjoyable.
The one thing that's really surprising is a movie that I feel like would fit into what Uwe Boll's done before would be the movie Doom. Surprisingly, wasn't him. The movie was still a shitstorm, so I believe it should have been Uwe Boll, but I guess you can't really hope for too much. So the most recent video game adapted movie that he made, I believe by looking at all of this, would be the it's going to be In the Name of the King 3. Even though technically that's no longer a Dungeon Siege tale. So I think if we're looking at it specifically for a video game-based movie, would be Blood Rain, The Third Reich. And if that movie was so bad enough for him to lampoon his own movie, it's bad. Now, back in 2014, I think it was 2015, Blizzard was going to make a Warcraft movie. Right, this was all to do for everyone who was a World of Warcraft player, even people who weren't Warcraft players. It had some sexy ass CGI, and everyone was super excited to kind of see it. We won't really go into whether or not it was good or not because that's a conversation all on its own. But when you look at when that movie was in the process of being made, Uwe Boll asked fucking Blizzard, "Hey, let me make the movie," and Blizzard literally said, "We would give the movie to anybody else." Except you. anybody else except you. So he got super pissed off about that and super salty, but that's fine. And Jesus was telling us about how was it Letterboxd?
Yeah, Letterboxd.
How he was writing his own reviews, sounding great, and writing shitty reviews for other movies that are doing really well. You cannot expect anyone to take you seriously as a movie maker, as a movie goer, or anything like that when you're gonna be doing shit like that, man. Like, come on, you bull. I doubt you're listening to this, but if you are, fucking figure it out, mate.
I guarantee if you tag him on Twitter, he would respond to you.
Yeah, it's not like he's got anything else going. He seems like that type. From what I've heard and all this, he seems like that type that would respond.
No, seriously, if we get a response from him, that's fantastic. I will tag his ass on Twitter when I post this episode. I will say, hey, you bull, listen to the last maybe 40 minutes when you tear your ass a new one, because you should not be making movies. If anything, you should be writing apology letters to people. So that is actually going to be about it for our episode today. We kind of run out of time. When it comes down to the movies that we have seen recently, I want you guys to tell me, what is the shittiest movie you've seen so far in 2020 that will ring to you? And even if it's a late 2019, let's say it's a late entry to 2020. What are the movies that you think should definitely receive like a Razzie or some shit?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
That movie was actually pretty decent.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I haven't finished it. I gotta finish watching it.
Jim Carrey's hilarious in that movie. I think I heard you say on the other. I watched another episode recently of you guys, and I heard you trashing Invisible Man. Not that bad a movie, I'm telling you.
It wasn't.
Right now.
Invisible Man was not that good.
So I actually
it was.
I watched the first
Not that
like
bad.
20 minutes of Invisible Man, and I fucking noped out of it.
I would rather watch.
I wasn't a huge fan of it. I felt like the entire basis of the story was like, let's give you this really shitty setup so that way we can come back and give you an example. Like when she walks by and you see that fucking T-posing machine and you're like, what's that? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we all fucking, it's called the Invisible Man. I can tell you it's either an invisible suit or it's another invisible person who's going to inject his blood. I don't know. I didn't watch that far. I can only speculate, and I can tell you, I feel like all the speculation I have
You're pretty close.
Hollow Man did it better.
Is it an invisible suit?
Yes. Well, kinda,
Fuck
sorta,
it, dude,
kinda,
this guy's-
sorta.
Where's my super suit?
This guy's got fucking
It's-
DARPA sheets in his basement.
It's got a nice little. I thought the twist. I knew it coming into it because I saw the trailer and I rewatched it. Like I usually rewatch trailers multiple times, and I caught it and I was like, okay, it's a suit. Like,
Does the
I get it.
crazy guy does he work for the government?
He makes his character, apparently he's like super rich, and he runs like
He's go
like cameras, like kind of like
I was gonna
not
say
cameras, but like stuff like that. Yeah,
it's
like
using
something. I don't
fucking-
remember the term.
It's like light refracting cameras or some shit. It's like picking. It's
Yeah,
like your front has a camera, your back has a camera, your side has
Exactly.
360 cameras, and I'm
Yeah.
invisible now because you can't fucking see light refracting like a fucking
wasn't
exactly.
predator.
that good of a movie.
So worst
The ending I didn't like. I'll agree. The ending was bad.
Yeah,
I would
shitty.
tell you, I haven't seen all of Invisible Man, so I feel like maybe my vote might go there. But honestly, and I know I said this before, and I'm gonna just double back down on it, dude. I fucking hated Bloodshot, and the fact that it made me waste time to watch it. I wasn't expecting much going into a Vin Diesel action movie. And honestly, ever since like 3 fucking Fast and the Furious ago, I kind of stopped caring. Everything he does, if he's not Riddick, I don't want to fucking see it. But like, I feel like, oh man, he should have been one of my killers. Riddick is badass. Anyway, so yeah, dude, I feel like,
it's hard to put your top.
I
3
feel like
killers.
It is hard.
with Bloodshot, it just did not feel like a fun movie that I want to watch over and over again. So we'll see how these movies age. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, that was such a huge movie to hit this year. Invisible Man, same thing. I think a lot of hype behind all these movies. We're gonna see where they land at the end of the year. Maybe these movies will be like Sonic may actually be the best video game movie ever made, in comparison to a world of shit out there.
Silent Hill's pretty good. Silent Hill.
Okay,
first
so
one.
Silent Hill, that's you're right there. So anyway, we'll see how these movies end up turning out. But
Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3.
Get out of here. Just leave.
fuck that, dude. No,
Extinction.
seriously.
I don't know what it is about Extinction, man. I don't know what it is.
I will give points to the second one to a point because it is it's fan service, but the first one was the only one I can't watch. I don't know. I didn't like him that much, but you know what?
Well, everything after the third one lost me. After the third one, I just
the
they
best.
they retcon so many fucking things that like movies didn't even make sense anymore. I know I'm going on a tangent here now, but like it did. The seventh, was it the seventh? No, it's not the seventh. I don't know how many there were in there, but the last one wasn't even a functioning movie at that point.
No, it
But
was,
I saw
it
it
was all
and
CG. It was all fucking green screen shit.
Yeah, it was weird. Like remember that shitty trailer they got with
Guns N' Roses, right?
Guns N' Roses. That was
Yeah,
the
dude,
worst
and you're gonna take
montage of scenes.
aside from fucking what's her face? Aside from the main actress, I forgot her name.
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, aside from Mila Jovovich being in the movie, you're gonna take one of the largest names at that time, fucking Ruby Rose, and throw her through a fucking fan? Are you high? That shit was stupid.
Mila Jovovich is married to the director of those movies.
Yeah, that's the only reason she's in. That's the only reason she's. You didn't know that?
And she's
no.
That's the only reason.
The same guy is doing the Monster Hunter movie coming out pretty soon, based on the game.
And she's
starring. She's the star.
Man,
it's so ridiculous.
I love playing Monster Hunter, and I gotta tell you, I cannot wait to sit in that theater.
Yeah,
and
let's just take
fucking...
a bunch of opportunities away from other actresses just because you're
so bad.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
We don't believe in nepotism. Staying before we're gonna see how these movies land. Oh man, I can't fucking wait for. Why'd you tell me that before we get up the fucking show? Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go stare at the fucking
be
wall.
Waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stare at the wall.
Write it down on the calendar.
You know what we need? A Call of Duty Zombies movie, and I'll tell you why. Because I have the perfect, and Jesus knows this. I have the perfect Edward Richthofen, the German guy, the German scientist from Zombies. What's his name? No, what's his name? I can't think of his.
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. From Inglourious Bastards and fucking Django and fucking.
A little too old, I feel. I feel like you can just get Nolan North, the guy who does the voice of him already. He looks like him.
Well, here's the thing, Raul.
That's true.
If movies were based,
that'd be my second choice.
If movies were based solely around who can play a single good character, at that point you've made a good Uwe Boll movie. I gotta tell you, I think Call of Duty Zombies has already been made. It's called Overlord. Anyway,
I was disappointed with that movie too.
Well, I played Zombies.
Great.
I was disappointed with both of those.
That movie was not great, Jesus. That
was
essentially fucking Call of Duty Zombies. That's all it was.
I was so surprised. I was so surprised Raul saying he was disappointed with it.
It was World War II zombies, first of all.
But this is,
you know what? Cool, man.
Jesus, we're gonna have to have you on another show when we talk about movies because I feel like this is gonna be a conversation we have to have about how Overlord is the perfect Call of Duty Zombies movie.
Oh, definitely.
Other than that.
There was like zombies in that movie for like
this fucking guy
for like
the
5
entire
minutes.
rest of the movie, and they're always referencing them. Get off it. Stop being sad on the radio. Be sad later on. Thank you guys very much for listening. If you guys get a chance to, make sure you head to our actually right below this video, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done it already, and make sure you hit that bell icon so you can hear when we go online. Also follow us on Twitter. Follow Raul on Twitter if you want to see someone complain about things that they have no control over. And then also make sure you follow us on Facebook. We always try to post some fun stuff. We like to have interactions with the people who listen to us.
Yeah, I would. One thing I want to say, I tried doing some fun shit on Facebook, like doing a poll, but for some reason Facebook doesn't. And I've said this before on our podcast from Sounds Like Kayfabe. For some reason, Facebook doesn't believe in polls when you have a group. You can't do polls as a group. It's really fucking stupid. Like that, you would think that would be a feature. And I actually wrote to Facebook saying, "Why is this not a fucking option?" It's fucking stupid.
Well, yeah, it's not fucking stupid. It's fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys have a great night. Thank you, Jesus, again for joining us. Raul, I'm sure we'll play Call of Duty again later on. And Jesus, you play Call of Duty on PS4, correct?
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me we need to get some dubs.
Definitely, for sure.
Other than that, guys, again,
Carry
thank you very
Raul
much for
back.
listening. Raul is always getting carried. He's like fucking Baby Yoda.
He is always, for sure.
All right.
The child.
Challenge.
Challenge accepted. All right, guys. Later.
The game goes on.